Hi everyone, I guess Deltarune Chapter 3 and 4 is due in like a couple of days. Maybe it'll be tomorrow by the time this video comes out. Actually, I'm just curious, how long is it right now as we are recording until Deltarune Chapter 3 and 4?
3 days, 18 hours, 0 minutes,
I
and 48
knew
seconds.
you were gonna have that ready immediately.
Didn't even
I'm grinning.
flinch.
This is going to be a little video of the five of us just talking, discussing Deltarune, talking about what we think about the game so far and what we hope to see and what could happen in Chapter 3 and 4. Well, I'm joined with Cosmic.
I'm Cosmic. I came here out of my hole to talk about Deltarune.
Splendid.
I guess. I'm here. Adam pulled me off the side of the road.
I'm joined with Crow.
Hi, I am Crow. I do art. I've been on Mrs. Meyer and also Josh's channel, and that is what I do. Yes.
Do you mind if I just like pop up some of your really cool art as you were saying that?
I would be very flattered.
Splendid. I'm joined by Josh.
It's me. I do a lot of things with Adam. That makes it sound weird. Don't worry about it. End of statement.
Josh
I'm
is
done.
very
Nice, Wyden.
normal about Deltarune, as you've heard.
God.
Josh is
and-
very normal.
And finally, Vale.
I'm TNT Vale. I do art. I've been on music. I've been on
Splendid.
charges. That's what I do.
Yo, you mind if I put up some of your really cool art as you were saying that?
Wait, I feel like I
Crazy.
already went somewhere.
Now that we've had the really awkward introductions out of the way, how fucking excited are we for these two chapters to come out? Because Jesus Christ, it's been
Like a more than normal.
has it
amount
been
of
close to
excited.
3 years now that we've been waiting?
has
for
been.
this?
We're coming on 4.
We're coming
Yeah,
on
it's coming
what?
on
on
3 years,
4?
Yeah, like 3 years and 7-8 months, somewhere around there.
Oh my god, we've been
Actually,
stuck.
For every chapter.
We've been stuck with only like clues from the first 2 chapters to work on for these things for fucking ages.
Do you
We've
feel the
done
mold
Spamton
inside of you?
sweepstakes stuff.
Yeah,
We've
yeah.
gotten like a couple
Yeah.
of things because there's been like there's been sweepstakes, there's been like newsletters and things like that, and obviously we got like the trailer, the actual official trailer during the Switch 2 Direct, which here's a clip from that.
I wasn't in that clip, but I was like before the Switch 2 Direct.
you
I was
were.
like, I was not. I was in uni at the time,
Mm-hmm.
but I was in my head thinking like, oh yeah, Silk Song is probably more likely than Deltarune. There's no way Deltarune's there, and Deltarune shows up
yeah,
first for the
well,
full
my
trailer.
question- When I watched Direct,
What you mean?
when I watched the Direct, I was in class. Like I'd finished my work, I was just watching the thing. You don't realize the amount of power required to mute yourself from screaming from the top of your lungs.
I'm gonna level with you. It's like basically the past 2 weeks have been non-stop chatter about Deltarune from all of us,
Brain
and
rot.
like more.
Brain rot.
We've literally
Brain
all
rot.
just been discussing it on and off, non-stop, about, you know, what things are gonna happen to the characters, what kind of like secret bosses we could expect to see, you know, kind of like what the themes of each chapter might be, and all that nonsense. So, does anyone have any like bold swings of predictions, or just like things they want to say that's like this could happen in chapter 3 and 4? Because Josh, I know you literally just made your video saying like, here's what I think could happen in chapter 3.
That was less predictions and more just, you know, wild speculation, fan fiction type stuff. But
Mhm.
you know what? T-Muncher!
T-Muncher.
Yoshi Theory real!
Do you want to
Yoshi
explain?
Theory
Do
real!
you want to explain T-Muncher and Yoshi Theory?
Start us out.
Okay.
Please do.
All right. Yeah, start us off. I'll break in the chat a bit. Yoshi Theory. But freaking secret bosses. We got, you know, Spamton, we got Jevil. The one for this house world is Yoshi. Some kind of legally distinct Yoshi parody because of all of the setup between multiple chapters of like, oh yeah, I'm playing Super Smashing Fighters. Your brother loved that green lizard. And then in chapter 2, there was Father Alvin talking about how Azrael would confess to sins about dropping the green lizard in the pit to jump high. Another Yoshi reference. And then would talk about how, oh yeah, Chris would intentionally drop the lizard in the pit to jump high for those feelings and the you know those themes of abandonment and discarding and whatnot in the secret bosses and we'll see and then there's also from the newest Spamton sweepstakes stuff about how on Romb if you click on the invisible floaty thingy, then the tab is changed to a quote from Link's Awakening. Retro Nintendo game stuff being linked with the one thing we have to go off of with the Shadow Mantle and the secret boss. I wonder.
On a more serious note, relating to the Link's Awakening.
Oh, he's serious.
No. I mean, okay. So, related
In
to
a
Link's
good way.
Awakening.
Can't believe.
It's like
In a good way.
it's got some like similar themes to Deltarune in terms of like fantasy and like in Link's Awakening. Spoilers. You have to like say goodbye to that world at the end because it's like not real. And obviously the dark worlds like are real, but I think that's gonna like that may have some parallels there because I feel like that might be how Deltarune as a whole ends. But like I think that this is a bit of a large topic for the beginning of the discussion. So Yoshi theory. I think Yoshi theory is interesting. I don't know how I feel about it because I see the argument and I like it, but I'm not sure.
I'm not sure if this is necessarily as bold a swing as it appeared in my mind as I thought it, but considering the world seems a bit more, it's a leaning TV themed compared to family home themed.
Yes.
I mean, there were Mario TV shows with Yoshi in one of them.
There were, yes.
That is something to base it off of. Give him a cowboy hat, I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah.
It will feel really genuinely weird if Woody theory was true.
It would a little bit, but I would be excited anyway.
As would I.
Like, I'd be fucking hyped about it, but it just like a part of it just like feels wrong because we've been joking about it for like well over a year now. I feel like the way I'm thinking about it is that if we're right, it'll feel weird because it'll felt like it's been a thing for ages, for like long before Deltarune was even, well, let's say like chapter 3 has it. It'll be like, oh yeah, cool, we've been known.
Like, no one predicted no one predicted Spamton.
Not a single person.
A lot of the upcoming Secret Boss predictions ring so Spamton. We had like fan games of like the final boss of chapter 3 that were pretty like heavily based on Spamton's words. Like, it really just took the fandom by storm. Spamton sweepstakes. Everything's been really Spamton as of recent.
It's very
and
much
so
been.
For sure.
I don't know if anyone's gotten what Woody theory would look like if it were to happen exactly right, because we have this frame of reference that's just so particular.
Yeah, I see a lot of time. I think that's kind of a problem with people theorizing about secret bosses in general. I feel like people base themselves too strictly on patterns that are barely established. Like, for example, the secret boss. If Jevil mentioned the Queen and Spamton mentioned Maya, like it's definitely a possibility, but like it's not sure for sure. Like, I also see, if there is a weird route, the secret boss shall be the final boss for it. Like, again,
I don't think that's gonna be a pattern.
I feel it's other thing. It's just for the final boss in general this time. Even for them, I feel like people are like searching too much for like the pattern for something that's only to this day still occurred only twice.
I've never really been a huge fan of chess theory for that reason, because like King and Queen were both chess pieces because they were like related to each other.
Queen is barely a chess piece. She's a fucking computer.
Yeah, so I don't
Like
think
a
that's gonna
name.
extend.
Just wanted to toss it here, my own crackpot. Chapter 3 Secret Boss shall have Green Soul, and chapter 4 will have Teal Soul. What the fuck that mean? Whatever the fuck. I'm keeping this here. I'm being stupid, but I
Funny
want my
part is I
somewhere.
believe it, but it's just
No,
the
see,
strangest piece of evidence.
I don't
Why-
believe it. I don't like this because that would mean that only the Cyan Soul would get a new like mode, but the Orange Soul wouldn't. It feels like
Yeah.
Toby has to go for both or none.
Again,
I
remember, my friend, it's just a crackpot theory. It definitely probably won't be real, but if
Yeah.
it is, I want it to be kept somewhere.
Adam, what was your crackpot?
Just to chuck this onto chess theory, has anyone ever considered card theory, where you have King, Queen, and Tenna being the 10 card? So that means in chapter 4, we're gonna get Mr. Jack, That's gonna be who's gonna show up as the main boss of Chapter 4.
Adam.
Prove me wrong! Prove me
Is
wrong!
this bit?
Jacks are higher value than 10s.
Yeah?
That's why the main boss is gonna be Jack, and then Tenna is gonna be angry and
10 is
take
an
over the world.
overarching boss
Just
into the
Wait,
4th chapter.
Wait. Actually, may I have a point? We already have the Jack. We have Lancer.
Lancer will be
Lancer
the
was-
first boss of Chapter 3,
Yes!
followed by Tenna. Dark
Yo.
Jack Lancer.
Honestly,
Violent
honestly,
TV Tenna.
honestly, this isn't just like theories. I think I kind of want Lancer. Well, maybe it's not the thing I want the most, but I think it'd be cool if Lancer did get more screen time because, like, he was super central to Susie's arc in Chapter 1, and it'd be cool having him around for more than just turning to stone. Like Hyrule card, people think is gonna come back. I want that more actually.
I think this might be a good place to steer into a different section of Chapter 3 and 4 are gonna do a lot of confirming patterns and
denying.
things like that. Like confirming and denying patterns, because I know Cosmic, you wanted to bring this up. I'm just kind of like what things are gonna carry over from chapter to chapter, and then that will obviously lead us to expect things in 5, 6, and 7 when those eventually come around.
Yeah, because truly, like, things that have happened twice so far have the possibility of either only happening twice because that's the bit's been done, we're moving on, or they're gonna keep happening as a pattern, and there's gonna be probably some kind of twist because why do the same thing over and over for no point? Like, is Starwalker going to keep appearing? Is there going to be any evolution on the bit of Starwalker? You know, those are two different things that can either be yes or no questions. And it's interesting because there's even like the case of Newbert, where Newbert's bit is like a 1-2 punch that isn't even in the game. You have to had watched the live stream where they replayed Chapter 1 for no reason to have seen the first half of Newbert's joke, where they say the same line but it's Ralsei instead of Susie.
And even without that first half of the joke, Newbert on his own still stands as funny shit.
Yeah,
Right?
we love
True.
Newbert.
There's just this character everybody loves for no fucking reason.
And
But everyone
rules. I want to see rules back so bad, but
Same.
I feel like one of
Yeah.
those like if you can make any confident prediction about Chapter 3 and 4 is that rules will be there and you will have another encounter with him, because I feel like it would just be like he's the perfect candidate to be the recurring get in your way character without like fitting in naturally into any environment, because as we've seen in like Chapter 2, he becomes pirate for some reason. So
See,
who's to say he can't
yeah.
become a fucking like astronaut in Chapter 4? You know what I mean? Like just for the hell of it, because he feels like it,
I'm
and it
going
would-
to the heavens, and for it I need a spacesuit.
Yes, you know, that kind of thing, you know? And you have to play
See-
like Guess Who or something, and they're all Lancer's face, you know?
Oh God, I like that. I like this.
It's
not
like-
even just that. It's not even just ego pirate, and that make no fucking sense for the scenario. But like, he overall just put the scenario on stop. Like the house mini game is so fucking pointless.
I think that rules is interesting because I think that like a lot of people expect him to like keep having like boss fights in every chapter, and I don't think that's what they're gonna do because he didn't in 1, and I think that they're gonna find new ways to use him that aren't just boss. We might get another one, but I don't know if it's gonna be in these chapters or even like. I really don't think that's going to be like a pattern.
I have had one prediction. I'm going to throw it out there, just like Vale. I think one of the scenes that Rules will have, one of the cameos that Rules will have, is he doesn't appear in the chapter at all until, like, you see him for the first time and he's getting fired, like, out of his position before he can even show up to face you. Like, he's immediately out of the team of the big bad of the chapter, and you don't see him that time.
That interesting thing with patterns and stuff, and like it was kind of going back to like what we were saying about Spamton and everyone expecting the next boss to be like Spamton. In Chapter 1, when that was all we had, we didn't know secret bosses were going to be like a thing. We thought a lot of people like saw Jevil and didn't assume there would be more. They just really liked Jevil. And I feel like that might be why a lot of people are assuming the next secret boss is gonna be like Spamton, because they really like Spamton.
It's gonna probably pull the rug out from under us, and we're probably gonna have like new patterns that were established that we probably weren't even aware of, and they're just gonna show up, and it's gonna be like oh, of course that would lead into something here and now, and it's just kind of like it's also a thing that we have to remember that like Deltarune is going to be one complete product by the end of this. That will be one complete story that people will like get through. They'll go through it as one big experience instead of experiencing it in one chunk, second chunk, 3 and 4 chunk. You know what I mean? It's like they're not gonna have the year space between everything, and so I'm curious to know like how natural things are going to feel once it's all out.
I just can't wait. I just can't wait for the next secret bosses to come out, and then the people on the internet to just speak and copy the speech patterns of the bosses without understanding how they work. I really can't wait for that.
I think like if like one of the more like smaller things that I feel like I'm really excited for for the coming of the new chapters is just getting to talk to the old characters again. Like,
Same.
That's one of my favorite things I'm just looking forward to, because like obviously like coming from like chapter 1 to chapter 2, you got like little voice lines with like characters from chapter 1, and that was really, really nice. Like you got to talk to Lancer again, you got to talk to Shawm again, and like all of the NPCs and King, and it's gonna be like, oh, now we're gonna get to do that, but for all of the chapter 2 characters as well, and new ones for chapter 1 characters and things like that. And things are probably gonna like develop in things like Castletown and stuff like that. I'm just like getting to see everyone and get to talk to everyone again, just having all these nice new scenarios to work from. I think that's gonna just really, really make this land for me. Like that's one of the things I'm looking forward to the most.
I'm just impatient to see what kind of bullshit Queen shall pull in the next chapter.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Queen might be the character I'm the most excited to see again, because like we did see the preview of her room, and I loved Queen in chapter 2, so I can't wait to see like what her little shenanigan in Castletown's gonna be.
I think her shenanigan is that she's installed a jacuzzi, but she can't use it for she is robot.
Well,
I believe
they
it.
did suggest the pool of acid in chapter 2.
Fox is so good at writing characters, and we're so endeared to all these ones that already exist. So it's just like, hey, we get more content. Oh, whoops, sorry. We get more content of these guys that we like.
How much development are we gonna get on someone like the Knight this chapter? You know what I mean? Is it gonna be confirmed? Like, are we gonna get a here it is, or is it gonna be a longer running thread, like right up until the very end? You
It
know?
very much depends. If Chris is the knight, we will know if Chris is or isn't the knight in chapter 3. But if Chris isn't the knight in chapter 3, I can see chapter 4 laying down a little bit of teasers here and there as to who they could be.
Honestly, I think it's entirely possible they could reveal it in chapter 4, because chapter 4 is going to be like over halfway through the game, you know? And it could be chapter 5, because Toby was planning to do 3, 4, and 5 together, but I think that like chapter 4, this kind of goes on to like the complete package idea, but like I wonder if chapter 3 is gonna have a cliffhanger, gonna have a version of Don't Forget that's like original, like until next time, or if that's just gonna be saved for chapter 4 only, because it's meant to be like a goodbye.
No. All of the chapters have credits. Chapter 1 still has its credits when you play it today.
Oh, I didn't know that actually. That's curious.
I've just had a thought.
Get your save file ready, Adam.
I've just had a thought. Right. Okay. So like the Don't Forget and Until Next Time is meant to be like the name of that song is meant to be like a play on the fact that like, oh, this is the end of the chapter and we won't see you for a little while, so we'll see you until next time. I think the ending, the Don't Forget remix for chapter 3 is going to be called See You Soon, because you're going to go right into chapter 4. That's my theory.
That'd be good.
Everyone gets one like shot in the dark.
Yeah, I'm gonna say it would be called. I think it's gonna be called Coming Up Next. I think that's gonna be.
Wait, that's actually way more
Very
clever.
TV.
Yeah, like very TV style.
I have so many thoughts.
I know what the
chapter
title shall be. My guess is BRB.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah,
Happy break time.
Yeah.
Be Right Back would be awesome.
Union regulated break time.
20 minutes recess. That's gonna be the name of the song.
You're not tomorrow.
On the topic of shots in the dark, though, I to go back to the secret bosses for like a brief second. I don't know if it's a pattern. It's probably not going to be a pattern. But I feel like in my head, I noticed that Spamton and Jevil have different ways of like talking to you. Where like Jevil has like voice lines of like him speaking, and like Spamton like has like voice lines in his music, which I know is like, I don't think that's very solid ground, but like I think that their like speech, the way it's written, is really different from each other and every other character in the entire game. And I feel like we might get a secret boss eventually who just cannot speak, and that might be where like the freedom theming comes in.
It's a voodoo doll.
Friend inside me. Woody theory.
Yeah,
Or-
yeah,
It's
no,
a,
it's
it's,
theory.
a, it's
Oh
a
my God.
voodoo doll. It's the doll is the secret boss, but there's another character you have to interact with in like the normal chapter beforehand to even like make it work or interact at all.
It's interesting that both of them speak. This is once again patterns. It's sort of omnipresent. Both of them speak in all caps so far. For all we know, that could just be these two.
Exactly.
We could
I
see
mean, we
a
do-
character speak in all caps next chapter. It's not the secret boss. It's some other guy.
See,
You
to
know?
like to bring it onto like the topic of like, you know, like, just to bring it back a little bit to the, you know, like what patterns are going to be confirmed or broken, is that like possibly we could have a moment where a pattern gets confirmed in chapter 3 but possibly broken in chapter 4. It could be like, oh, let's keep us on the hook for a little bit, and then when chapter 4 comes around it's like, oh, then our perception's shattered.
That's kind of one of the things that scares me, because if Rules, who is so set to be reoccurring because he has a lot of variation baked in, they could just like kill him. And that would that would destroy.
That was not the
that would
direction I was
destroy
expecting
me.
this point to
That
go.
would- No,
In the
because
normal-
genuinely,
Oh, wait, I need to
if
take
at
two
one
steps
point the
back.
pattern stops suddenly, that's like ouch, you know? It's like I miss this character so much, and I didn't expect this to happen because I was like, we were going so strong with all of these awesome
Yeah.
moments.
Holy shit, no, I was
I mean,
not
And it's
expecting that.
You know,
Yeah,
I mean,
I
I
get what
did
you
a
mean, though.
small
Yeah.
shock myself just now.
Like, these are patterns that Toby can choose to just break whenever the fuck he wants.
To use against
You can
us.
choose- Yeah.
Dude, everything you just described about rules just there is exactly how Birdly fans are feeling after the weird route.
Oh,
Hey,
can we
they
talk
just
about
kill
this? Can we talk about this? How the fuck is the weird route going to be followed up? You know what I mean? Like,
No clue.
are they just going to do another one? Is there going to be major consequences like in the upcoming chapters, or is it going to be like small little things that just kind of unease you until it
Applicable or not
slowly comes to a
applicable.
bigger boil in like the later chapters? You know what I mean?
I'm a firm believer that Weird Route is a Noel exclusive thing. I'm one
Same.
of those guys. And it's very much a thing of just like in the capacity of you can only do a quote unquote weird route if Noel is with you.
I like that.
Like in the party. Because like you know there could be like minor changes here or there in chapter 3 if you did a weird route, but you can't like get a whole new ending or like fully like change the course the same way that you do in chapter 2 without Noel.
On the opposite hand, I also, even though I agree with you that I feel like Noelle being able to do this is significant and specific to her, why would Noelle go through with ice shocking ever again? I'm wondering that too.
Because of the thorn ring.
Sure,
Because she thinks that
but
Maybe.
because
but I feel like they would
Why didn't
do
she stop before?
everything. She would do everything in her power to avoid this same situation again. Now that it's been at least a day.
There's maybe, who knows? Because like Noelle doesn't, gonna be so real, doesn't seem like the most stable of characters. So like, it could be
True,
a
but-
case where like things, like maybe weird routes do make things worse for her,
No,
and there's nothing
I-
she can really do about it.
I've just had a revelation right
Please,
now that I've
please.
not thought of. So, okay. First off, Noelle, I think that I agree. It's going to be a specific to her thing, and I feel like we might have. It might just be the fact we don't have the knowledge to like there might be a situation where she does go in the dark world again that we just don't have the knowledge to go off of in chapter 4. There's also the not applicable thing. Anyway, the thing I had the revelation about is the fact that in the hospital at the end of chapter 2, she's talking about how like it's like a terrifying voice that she's hearing and not Chris's, and that is kind of implied to be the voice of the player. So in the weird route, is she going to be like onto us? Is she going to like figure it out before it's revealed in the story to the other characters? Like,
Who knows?
God.
There could be a thing. Here's another like weird thing that I thought up. Is that like we know that the other classmates are going to show up in these later chapters. Do you think that they could meet a similar fate to Birdley, or was that just a Birdley thing? You know, like what could it be we're taking out the rest of the classmates? I don't know.
I don't.
Or shall all die.
I don't think that if something like Birdley's Snowgrave is going to happen again, it's not going to be Snowgrave in my opinion.
No, it's not going to be Snowgrave.
I feel like also going off of this is jumping slightly quote unquote ahead. The whole applicable not applicable thing. I realized sort of in between then and now. I said, why would Noelle do this again? Chapter 3 on like the new sweepstakes webpage for chapter 3, I believe, is listed as not applicable but, which to me implies there's some sort of setup you can do in chapter 3 that makes chapter 4 applicable. If that makes any sense.
I think you're
I'm
correct.
thinking, what if you like apologize to Noelle in chapter 3? Or maybe it's another element of like gaslighting that enables something in chapter 4 to happen that is a weird route.
May I try interpretation?
Which would be
Absolutely, go nuts.
It is possible the applicable but the key to the answer would be the Twisted Sword, because the Twisted Sword is only acquirable if you get the Thorn Ring, which means you have to have started the Snowgrave.
Isn't that exclusive to like a cancelled Snowgrave?
It should be exclusive to a cancelled Snowgrave, but nothing would say that both Snowgrave needed to happen at the same time, you know?
That's true, that's true.
You can't have multiple save files, which there's been some talk about transferring between.
It's possible that if you make a Snowgrave too early, you won't be able to make a weird route later. That's what I say.
Maybe.
Well, who knows? That's a potential interpretation. It's not confirmed.
My idea with how Snowgrave could continue forward, and like why would Noelle continue and whatnot. You need to remember the baseline for chapter 2 onward is that Noelle thinks that it's a dream or a nightmare.
Yes.
You can go to the hospital and like freak her out, be like, oh yeah, ooh, I'm here and it wasn't a dream or whatever. Or like, hey, I have your watch, it wasn't a dream or whatever. But that is not mandatory for a weird route.
No.
Wait, really? It's
not
not?
mandatory.
Like going to the hospital is
just
not
not go to
mandatory
the
for a weird route.
It's not
Do you-
mandatory, period.
But would it, for like chapter 3 and onwards, would like you not be able to would it be like aborted if you didn't do that? Because that feels like a really important scene, right?
It doesn't play the sound effect that plays when you progress the route. So that
when you abort it.
To me,
Yeah.
either means the sound effect is not playing because it would sort of the atmosphere, it's in the light world, it's different. Or previously I'd thought that that scene in the hospital was extra to the point that it wouldn't matter in a consequent in like the next chapters. But now that I think about it, that is a pretty major change in knowledge.
For sure.
You're revealing like that it wasn't a dream. That would change things
That's why I'm
significantly.
thinking that hey, chapter 3, or whatever the next weird route we have, it can and will still be applicable with just killing Birdley, killing Spamton, going, and then that's the end of the weird route.
I think it would be a little. This is going in terms of what I want, in terms of, but like I think that when I saw the not applicable for chapter 3, I was like, oh, that's a little I know that it was pretty unrealistic to expect Noelle in chapter 3, but like I was a little sad there wouldn't be a continuation of the Weird Route in chapter 3. But when I saw like when you highlight the number, it's just as big as chapter 2, and then you've got like the but at the end. I've heard a lot of talk, like there was what we brought up here. There was like what it has to do with the Shadow Mantle, or like what if the consequences of chapter 2 carry over to 3, and it like there's gonna be something talked about in 3 related to the Weird Route. There's so much. There's so many possibilities.
Yeah, exactly. I feel like this is a good segue to go into the Spamton sweepstakes, because I think just for one, as like just a discussion piece, like holy shit, what an amazing just event for the Deltarune community in general. Like that was just an insane night of just getting a bunch of like weird lore tidbits and just fun activities to do, all relating to like just and to get more mileage out of Spamton. I think it really showed just how much more staying power Spamton had as like a character like from Deltarune, and just the amount of like insane like little bits we've gotten and how much theory crafting advanced. I'm speaking about this like it's caveman technologies, how like it advanced like after we got like all of those secret like web pages and things like that. And what's even weirder is that we got more recently after like the confirmation of the chapter 3 and 4 dates. I'm gonna be so real. The Spamton sweepstakes pages freak me the fuck out. What the fuck is friend?
Before any of the sweepstakes stuff happened, I was firmly on like, oh yeah, it's just a silly little creepy Easter egg. It's not coming back. But after Image Friend has appeared in both waves of Spamton sweepstakes, in their own little thing, with so much questioning surrounding it, it has to be real.
Toby
now.
wants us to take notice that this is a thing.
I wouldn't be surprised if we didn't see any in-game like confirmation of Image Friend. Cameo appearances like chapter 2, sure. Like genuine information until much later than chapter 3 and 4. I wouldn't be surprised.
So Image Friend would be like a bigger thing than just like, oh, it's Mike. Like it
Image
could be
Friend
like
to me has the same gravitas as information about Gaster because they're kind of related and they're both mysterious.
It's among the things that were added to the sweepstakes post chapter 3-4. We had this strange message on deltarune.com/roam/. If only you had the funny noise, your luck might have gone another way. No funny noise, no crystal. But like, I'm pretty sure the word that is censored is mental, because then the last sentence would then become no mental, no crystal, which would rhyme, and that's kind of funny. And also Sean kind of foreshadowed it already.
The sound is also called ma.ogg, so like mental, you know.
Speaking of creepy things, we've been talking more like theories today, because obviously
it just like naturally ends up there.
I think that tonally, though, I guess this is all a theory, but tonally, I think that Toby said that chapter 3 is gonna be like unconventional and stuff, and I think it might be like lighter-hearted with a bit of like emotion in there, like chapter 2, and then chapter 4 I think might be darker yet.
Chapter 4 is where things are gonna feel a little bit more real. I absolutely do think, because I do feel like within all of like this theory crafting things, like what's going on and like the deeper meanings and things like that. Like I am genuinely looking forward to chapter like these like what kind of humor we're gonna get from like chapter 3 and 4 as well, because like I think it's really easy to forget sometimes that like Deltarune and Undertale are both really fucking funny games. Like they're absolute riots of games and are so fucking hilarious. I don't know, like I don't really have like much of like a jumping off point for that one, because it's kind of more like a thing you kind of need to be reactionary towards. But I think it's just worth to bring up. There's just like these games are so fucking funny. And
chapter 2 really doubled down. It was great.
Really did. I think chapter 2 was
1000%
blinking hilarious.
You know shit gets serious in Deltarune when Jockington grow the beard.
Yeah, Jockington grows the beard. Yeah. I genuinely think Jockington's the knight.
No, you don't.
Well, guys, it's the end of the video. Goodbye.
Yeah, right, see ya.
Don't lie to us, animations.
Yeah, I'm just kidding. The beard is the knight.
On the topic of the humor, though,
yes.
I completely agree. But also, like, another thing we can't really say much on right now is the soundtrack. We're gonna get like 100 more songs or something crazy.
God,
dude, I cannot wait. I cannot wait for more
No,
Toby Fox music.
I think what's gonna feel weird, I think this is something that I've been trying to like wrestle with in my brain for like ages, is that like chapter 1 and 2 are really, really good. So how the hell is chapter 3, like, even if they match it, I can't fathom how they'd top it. You know what I mean? Because those
We kind
chapters
of-
are so goddamn good that I genuinely cannot imagine a scenario with better chapters. But I know it's gonna happen.
We did feel that way a little bit after chapter 1, but I do think in chapter 2, once again, they really made it hilarious. It was a really fun chapter.
It was so fun.
You know, despite its darker half.
I'm just impatient to see how Toby shall change a bit the codes that the previous things had. Like, what type of villains can be explored after King and Queen? Like,
yes, that's another one.
Yeah.
what even with the secret bot, what kind of reaction to freedom between parentheses would be new, like to see?
Kind of like what kind of like overlap could we see in characters, but also just like what new things can you do? You know?
Right?
See, like again, that's kind of what I was pitching with the Yoshi theory, at least with my idea with Team Muncher, is that we already have the two far ends of the spectrum with Jevil and Spamton, of like, they are polar opposites in how they view the world when knowing like, oh yeah, the world is a game or whatever it is that was revealed to them. Because one of them is like, okay, if nothing matters, then I can do anything. Because the world is going to shit anyway. But you know, then Spamton is the polar opposite of, if nothing matters, I need to make it matter. I need to get the power to make things matter.
Yes.
I need to get on that higher level. And they're the two far ends of it. I want to see what other paths can be done. And again, with Team Muncher, Yoshi Theory, his whole thing was taking as much control and freedom as you can, knowing what you know about the world. Instead of just giving up, or like giving up one way or the other. If nothing matters, then I'm gonna do what I can within my confines to live the best that I can in this.
Which I think is a
Crazy
really
life.
good way of thinking about
Absurdism
it.
secret boss. I love it.
Another potential outing of the freedom thematic I thought could be interesting is like a character that will. I expressed it once in VC, that imagine a character who know the truth of the world, like, and they try to make everyone escape from it. Like, they try to save in their eyes.
They're trying to
people.
like warn everyone, and no one
They
will listen.
try. No one will listen. I think I had made an interpretation of it with Apophene, like for if you people are like a conspiracy theorist,
Yeah.
and like he know the truth, but nobody fucking listened to him, and he tried to save them, even if it can harm them. Like, this could be an interesting take. I see.
Going off of Vale's idea for like a savior type secret bot, I think Josh, I think yours, I think is super possible, but I think that Vale's is also super possible, because I'm thinking like chapter 4, if it's a church, I'm thinking like religious savior. There could be some like allegories there. I think that could work.
The sky is falling. I said, yep, sure, whatever you say, man.
Hear me out as an idea for the freedom stuff and whatnot. If Sham ends up being a secret boss in like, you know, chapter 7 or whatever, nihilism is a very good idea of like, oh yeah, that's an interpretation on how to take, you know, oh, your choices don't matter or whatever else made Spamton and Jevil go nuts. Nihilism is full on what Sham is already living and expressing, like, hey, fate's coming. There's no future for any of us. Why are you trying? Who cares?
Let's have a toast to the end. Let's have a toast to the end.
I was gonna bring that up actually about Sham, because I 10,000% agree. That's one of the things I want the most out of like chapter
Sham's
7.
secret boss?
Yeah, because I think it would be sick. I think
Really?
Sham's a sick character, and I think that they could have an amazing boss theme. We could finally find out what their pronouns are.
Sean's pronouns are they them canonically. I fucked up. Sorry.
Let's go. I didn't
Are you
know
really,
that was ever
are
said
you
in
really on a
game.
quest to find the pronouns of everyone?
Of course I am.
That's a great quest.
My thoughts on Sham fight theory is, if Sham is to represent nihilism, I don't see why Sham would fight you because of the nihilism. What is he hoping to accomplish? However, they already are breaking script in the weird route. That's where I can see the nihilism faltering and being like, if things can change, then what about this? Can this change too? Can I be a bigger part?
Mhm.
You know? That's the one kind of seam I'm seeing in this nihilism.
Get out.
True.
Vale, what
Yeah.
were you gonna add?
I mean, I have a suggestion that might make Sean be able to be fought even in like the regular route. Sean is clearly the one who is the most aware about the secret bosses. So what if he sees you collected like enough shadow crystal? It just go, yeah, okay, I might try to have a little fun, you know, like he was into games with Jevil too. So like maybe he could just be doing it just for the little fun of it.
Maybe
like,
there is.
Maybe he has a shadow crystal, and the only way he can give it to you is if they follow the rules and you have a fight before. You know?
I always thought the Sham fight, the way that they would fight you, is that like they talked to Jevil, right? And Jevil talked to Gaster, presumably. They were in. Okay, I don't actually know how much of this is true, but like Jevil and Sham, friends. So I'm thinking like, what if Jevil were to have like told Sham what they learned from Gaster, but since Sham did not learn it from Gaster, they learned it from Jevil. Sham is not insane, but like
Maybe.
still knows what Gaster.
I do enjoy
said.
that. I do enjoy that thought.
Yeah. Like a comparison of like, oh yeah, my best friend got, you know, abducted by aliens and saw Eldritch horrors beyond comprehension and told me about it. I'm not going crazy because I didn't see the Eldritch horrors, but I did get a description of the Eldritch horrors.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Therefore, it's still like kind of seated in my brain a little
And
bit.
it would also make sense. It's like he's kind of like the only person we can come to and talk to about the secret boss we found, because like he's the only one we kind of go to about Spamton, pretty much. Like, don't we? And also basically the only person we go and talk to about Jevil. So possibly it could be a same thing, even if they don't personally like know those characters. It's like they're aware that they're in possession of shadow crystals and whatever that stuff.
Also, I just realized, if Sham, like, we can all agree the Shadow Mantle stuff is for Chapter 3, with it being connected to all the, like, Chapter 3 stuff with,
Yeah.
I mean,
Romb
sure.
and Ramb and whatnot.
To me, it's pretty agreed upon because, like, Sham himself said, like, I just finished the chapter 2 tomorrow again, today, and he says specifically, maybe the next opponent will be impossible to beat without the Shadow Mantle,
See.
and the next opponent.
That is exactly what I want to talk about. This implies that Sham knew Chris was going to open the fountain in the house.
Like it's not just that, but overall, like just Sham has some crazy ass knowledge. Like when you told him about Spamton, he say maybe that machine was important to a Lightner once, and he's right. But how can he be so fucking right?
Well, I mean, that's just kind of how Dark Worlds work.
Well, I was actually gonna just bounce off of that and be like, Sham knowing about the Chapter 3 Dark World is really interesting because the Dark World seemed to operate on some kind of like last Thursdayism, where like there's a bunch of like history that exists despite the fact that this Dark World was created like today.
Josh, I just want to disagree with you on the fact that it's just a Dark World thing. Like, not everyone know about this fucking armor in the basement to begin with.
It's implied that, like, you as Chris or whatever tell them about where you got the Shadow Crystal, and then from there it's like, oh yeah, maybe that the machine was important to a Lightner because that's how all of the Darkner bullshit works.
I think we should start heading towards a direction where we could start closing up the discussion. So,
Can I briefly go over a couple of things with Chapter 4?
yes, absolutely. I feel like now's a good time to like talk about possibly some Chapter 4, because we've gone quite in depth of, maybe not too in depth,
Yeah.
but like we've definitely gone into like,
Chapter
what can we
3.
think of Chapter 3? What do you think of Chapter 4?
Chapter 4, I have been thinking just about chapter 4 like intermittently during this conversation.
Yes.
And I'm super interested. The only thing we know about chapter 4 pretty much is that there's like a little bit of a running sequence where like Chris and Susie have a little bit of a weird tinted hue, and Jockington grows the beard is one of the jokes that will happen. I'm wondering if chapter 4 is church. First of all, that implicates Caddy, who is also implicated via Jockington. Is the Dark World something that was predicted by the occult? Is that like a confirmation? Like when Caddy experiences the occult, is that like, the Dark Worlds, is that like, oh, the occult was like, right, did Caddy already know this? Are they not phased? What's that? Secondly, Father Alvin, just mysterious things with Father Alvin. He has that one line about the angel.
Cemetery.
Josh would probably remember it better than I.
The angel's power shine upon you, or
Yes.
shine upon your path, or whatever.
He would be there
And also
too.
in the cemetery too. That
Yeah.
really sus moment. And Spamton talking about the night and being like, "Hey, speaking of communion, the night."
There's those two characters who are, closely related in these ways. I'm wondering, how does it all fit together? I don't have anything concrete, I'm just wondering out loud.
I'm thinking in chapter 4, this is a tiny bit of a side tangent, but I do think we're going to get something very important with Ralsei in chapter 4. I feel
Right,
like
because
something maybe not like story shattering, but I feel like we're going to get some more progress in chapter 4 specifically relating to Ralsei. Just in some capacity.
all of our grander knowledge has come from Ralsei so far. This is the first time it won't.
I actually don't. I think that our grander knowledge, I think we're going to see a little bit more of that. But I think a big focus of chapter 3 actually might be Ralsei as like a character, because like we saw him develop a little bit in chapter 2, but I think he's going to get like a Susie chapter 1 adjacent moment in like chapter 3, because like Toriel and Ralsei, they surely have to interact, right? Because if they don't, that is going to be so suspicious.
It will be.
Well.
Or maybe
Toriel is going to confirm that this looks like Ralsei but young. So Ralsei looks like Azrael but younger. What is going on?
Or possibly, Ralsei is going to very conveniently disappear when Toriel shows up. Who knows?
I mean, to be honest, the house is pretty clean. I doubt there is any Azrael dust for Elsie to be summoned
Fuck
through
off.
in this house.
Wait.
I mean, there is the theory that Ralsei is actually Azrael's fur all around the town.
Also, can I just try an interpretation quickly for
Please.
the chapter 4? Like, in the trailer, like, do you remember in the trailer when Chris and Susie are running away from some kind
Yes.
of DOS thing?
Yeah.
The way they are, like, crackpot theory again, but is it possible that mayhap someone have opened a dark world inside a dark world, and that's what resulted to this?
Ooh.
That's an
Because
interesting
I
theory.
don't think Toby Fox would show that,
That
off.
would
I don't
that would
think so.
explain.
Point.
No,
It's
that would
possible.
explain the
It's possible.
discoloration.
Possibly.
I mean,
That's
yeah.
true.
I mean, it's possible to open a dark world inside a dark world. Birdley almost did it.
Birdley almost did it. I do think it's gonna happen. It's
never realized that.
Yeah, it's gonna
What-
happen. At some point.
What
in
if you could go
Deltarune.
darker than dark?
I thought
what
he
if
was
you could
just
go darker than
stupid.
dark?
Exactly.
No, he was genuinely about to do something
Yeah,
extremely
that's why
significant.
Ralsei was freaking out so hard.
Is it like exponential? Like opening dark worlds in the light world everywhere is like +1. Like, is a dark world inside a dark world like exponentially more?
That
Yeah.
could be the interpretation of the entry number 17, like darker yet darker.
I don't think Darker Yet Darker is referring to Dark World inside a Dark World, because I feel like that was more just teasing the fact that Dark Worlds existed. But I think Dark World inside a Dark World is a very interesting thought, because like when this happened, Ralsei was like, "You're gonna cause the roaring," so I don't know how possible it is, but like, it could be. I just realized we haven't even talked about Des or the mayor, but I think we could actually
There's
just
no-
leave some thoughts for the for
Carol Holiday is the night. That is my final statement.
Is that your final
Rudy will die.
stance?
Rudy will die. Rudy will fucking die. He will fucking die, and I hate it.
gonna
Des
get
is in
something
the
with Jasper.
depths. That's about as much as I can speculate.
My last thing is that it's not even really a theory. It's just that like this is these last few days, or last tomorrow, whenever this is getting uploaded,
Yeah.
is like our last time to really experience just chapter 1 and 2. Like, in the chapter 1 era, like, we knew nothing. We knew nothing about what chapter. I didn't even know there were going to be
Chris was
multiple
evil.
Dark Worlds. We thought
Yeah.
Chris was Kara, but we're in the chapter 2 era, where like, there's like all these
So much.
theories and stuff, and
We
it's
didn't
like
even know
kind
what a
of
Newbit was.
it's kind of easy to like lose sight of like Deltarune is like this funny ass game that is like super. I don't know. It's just
really
just like
influential.
Lore rich.
yeah. There's just so much to Deltarune, and there's gonna be so much more to Deltarune that's coming, and we've spent so long like going over these ideas in chapters 1 and 2, and this is our last time to do it, and I just think it's
Yeah.
kind of special.
I
So,
think it
It's also an
absolutely
experience.
is.
Lives in our hearts.
Yeah, and I can't wait to hopefully repeat this whole cycle when 5, 6, and 7 release later on down the line.
100%.
But I'll bring up my final talking point and our last chance to just throw any and all whack ideas out there. How do we think that this little saga of chapters is going to end? How do we think?
Like final scene of chapter 4.
What do you think chapter 4 is going to leave us with? Because I've got like 2 theories of where I could see chapter 4 ending up.
I'm right.
I don't see. I'm worried that what I'm about to say might be one of your ideas, Adam.
Just go for it. I've got 2 of them for
But-
a reason.
What if chapter 4 ends with Rudy dying?
That's what I said, man. He will fucking die.
Specifically that.
Yeah, specifically that.
That would be
I-
fucked up.
I have to agree. I have to agree with him.
No, but then
because
he won't appear
Rudy,
in the Dark World.
Rudy at the end of chapter 2 said he would go to the church, but let's considering his current state, it's definitely a bad idea.
It's far fetched. I don't fully like. Yeah, this is gonna
I
happen.
think that's a
But-
pretty wild one to throw in there, and I love
Yeah.
it. I think I love it for how
Same.
fucked up you are.
I had one of my thoughts for how the chapters could end that I saw recently was that like Noelle opening a dark world could be very possible, and like Rudy dying could be a very big reason as to why she would do that still on like a Snowgrave route, you know?
Oh, but
So
I-
That could lead into like let's say Rudy does die there. Like maybe there's like an ending where like
Someone-
Noelle escaped into a dark world, and then like the last thing we see is like a little glimpse of like the chapter 5's dark world, and then that thing opening, and then just bang credits. Shit like that. I don't know.
Someone, I
Ugh.
believe someone present here had said that Rudy dying could put Noelle in a similarly
It was I.
like volatile. Yeah, I didn't want to assume, but I had remembered. I thought it was you. Had said that it might put Noelle into a similarly volatile state as she is in Snowgrave without having something already like Snowgrave happening. Like even as things are just going swimmingly, that would put Noelle in like
Tip her over the edge.
obviously
I
turmoil.
said that because it will follow the thematic of the game of there will be only one ending, thus like nothing changed in the end.
I have my own thing to throw out. We mentioned the Darker Than Dark World as an idea for Chapter 4. It's a way that Chapter 4 could end. Chapter 4 could have a cliffhanger where the next Dark World is within this one. We're just going deeper into this one next time.
That could
And
be-
it's some Dark Worldception.
Oh, you mentioned this before of like, oh, actually, I don't know if it was you, but like it was mentioned before, in previous days that weren't recorded. Like the idea of not escaping the dark world would be like you try to see the fountain and the game's just like, fuck you, no, and then chapter ends. That could
was
be crazy.
going to be. That was one of my ideas. That was
Going to the
one of my
depths.
ideas that I was going to throw out there, saying that like, I don't think, for idea 1, we are going to be leaving this dark world. Like, I just don't think at the end of chapter 4 we're going to be able to escape it. And in some way, it's like now we've lent credence to the fact that maybe a second dark fountain will open within this dark world, and that's where we'll end up. Or alternatively, it will just be a thing of like, we're stuck here in this
am
dark
worried-
world
I'm
while
worried
something
about
really
you,
bad
by
is
the way.
happening. Go for it, Josh.
That is why there's the fucking chapter 4 light world segment is so long, because that's the beginning, and then you go into the dark world, and then it kind of like, yeah,
Wait,
It's
what?
forward and
It's a sh-
backward.
it-
No.
yeah.
Josh is
Chapter
saying
4's
like,
Dark World is shorter because it ends with you going even deeper down.
and
God.
that's why the light world segment is longer, because there's not gonna be one at the end. Get all your light world in now at the beginning while you still can.
There-
That's
I
interesting.
like it.
There could also not be a light world segment in chapter 3, which is
It's possible. I don't know. I mean, chapter 4 will have a quite long one, so
Just saying,
it's
we-
possible.
if we end up on the cliffhanger of like the dark fountain being open in the dark fountain, if we end up on this cliffhanger, it will leave us on the eventuality that the Titans may be awake on the next chapters, and that would
That's
be
the thing.
dreadful.
That's a really, really cool idea, and it's like maybe something like that will be happening during chapter 5, but we're kind of powerless to do anything about it because shit, we've been sent even deeper into this dark hole and we don't know where we're going.
What also what makes me think is like chapter 5 was initially going to be released with 3 and 4. This is interesting in that regard as well,
Exactly.
because there's another loose end to be tied off at the end of chapter 1, or rather another cliffhanger possibility at the end of chapter 5, rather, not 1, sorry. So what's that about?
Yeah.
I've heard people say like maybe chapter 4 won't have that big of an ending because it was meant to be paired with chapter 5. I don't think that's true.
I disagree
I don't
entirely. There's a reason it was cut off. There was a reason chapter 5 was cut off, I think. No, I mean, like, I know one of the, I know one of the reasons was because, you know, development was taking ages. But I do think, I don't think that we would just be given chapter 5. Sorry, just like chapter 3 and 4. You know, if it wasn't going to be impactful.
Besides, it would imply that chapter 3 would have had anyway a lackluster ending, and I don't want to believe that.
Yeah, I disagree with that as
Sure.
well. I just feel like every single chapter is going to leave us off with something strong. Because again, like, people are going to be experiencing this as a full package after chapter 7's released. So it only makes sense that each chapter has like a nice strong note to end on, you know?
Can you imagine not having played Deltarune until all of that is out?
I have heard
completely
some
different.
people have that intention of just like, I'm not going to play Deltarune until it's all finished. I'm just like, oh, buddy, why
could
would you do
die.
that to yourself? Right? You literally could. That's Deltarune.
That's like saying, oh, that's like being
Like girls.
and hearing about how good Gravity Falls is as it's coming out, and with all the cool ARG shit and the theorizing, and being like, wait till it's on.
Yeah.
Like, you're
But
still
I
gonna have a
mean-
great time with it. I did too, because I was that person.
I've had a separate thought stewing in the back of
Yes.
my head, like a scrumptious little stew. And I think that okay, Gaster, I think, has to have some kind of like, we talk to him again, or like something major plot-wise happen in like chapter 4 potentially, because I think that could be a humongous cliffhanger. Imagine the community like explodes, like seeing like a Gaster face portrait for the first time. I don't think we're gonna get that.
It's not gonna happen, but I
But-
like where your head's
But
at.
think about it.
Okay,
I think-
I'm thinking. I think you're stupid.
I think
no,
we
I'm sorry.
could- I think we could talk to Gaster again, and we might. I've had this this idea in the back of my head that is based on nothing. It's pure fan fiction. But I'm here like, what if the vessel comes back and is in the light world? And, like, the vessel coming back is how we get the reveal to the other characters that Chris is being controlled by us. Because what if we're inserted into the vessel or something like that? That does feel pretty end game as opposed to chapter 4, but
It
I
feels
don't know,
very
man.
endgame.
Anything could happen.
Also, chapter 4 ending, which could possibly happen, is the knight gets revealed. We have this is who the knight is. Boom! Smash cut. Shit like that. You know, instead of the, ooh, wishy-washy, is this real at the end of chapter 2, it's going to be a definitive, yes, this is it. This is what I'm leaving you on, and you're all going to have to wait years before we follow up on it.
Because, yeah, depending, it doesn't matter who it is, there's just going to be so much more speculation about why it's them now.
Yes.
I think that's super possible, for sure.
And again, halfway mark of the game.
Could be Father Alvin.
Could be
People
Father
could be
Alvin.
right. Could be
I-
Rules Car.
Yeah, could be
I forever will say, Mayor Holiday, Like, I like the idea. Like, Chris Knight, it's fine. This is what I was talking about earlier, and like before we started this. Chris Knight, sure, it's fine, and like there is evidence for it and whatnot. But this implies that Chris, on their own, when they're ripping us out of them, are still going out of their way to follow the prophecy that Gaster made, which we as the Soul are also following, which that feels really counterintuitive and like against the point of the story of like, oh yeah, we're both pulling out the same prophecy. Chris is making the fountains and we seal them. It's like it's against the meta narrative. It's against the meta narrative, which feels weird.
It feels hard to say for me though, because we don't really know much about Chris. So I feel like we're gonna learn at least a little something in chapters 3 and 4. So I'm sure we will.
Yeah.
But like, I think I can still see Chris Knight. I think it's possible because I think there's just a reason we could just not know.
I wouldn't want to, but I can kind of see it.
Let's hope.
I'm more of a Vessel Knight believer.
Well, we're not going to be having to wait much longer anyway to see if any of the stuff that we've yapped on about for the past hour and a half ends up coming into fruition. Insane, genuinely insane that we're this close. We're this close to just seeing the next chapter of this game that's definitely incredibly important to all of us. Because genuinely, I don't think a single one of us would be sitting in this call right now if it wasn't for this game, and I genuinely believe that.
For certain.
Absolutely.
Anyway, I think that's a very good place to leave off this discussion, this very lengthy discussion of chapters 3 and 4 of Deltarune. I think this is a good place to leave it. Everyone enjoy Deltarune 3 and 4 when it comes out. See you all later. Say bye, everybody. Bye.
The fucking gumball machine!